Good afternoon. Good afternoon. It is Tuesday. What is today? Today is Tuesday. We've got 2/2/23/2021. All right, 2/2/23/2021. Anyway, all that adds up to is it's a wonderful day in the land of the living. We are here to appreciate every beautiful aspect that the Creator, the Divine, has given us to appreciate. That is the wind, that is the sun, that is the air, that is motion, that is grace, that is mercy, that is peace. All the characteristics of the divine that you can find in nature. So if you find yourself stuck in stuck in a rut or stuck in a place to where it's mediocre or it's humdrum, take a moment today to get out and get you some fresh air. Take a walk, sit by the beach, sit on the beach, put your feet in the sand, get electrified in the sand, get your negative and positive charges up when you put your feet in the grass, for those of you who know about that. But today is Tune Up Tuesday, so what are we here to tune up? Here to tune up about life, the concept of life, the language of life, and to talk about what life is versus what life is not. So, what life is not. And when I say that, I just mean what we've given it, what we've attributed to life, and the language that we've used concerning life. When I talk about that, I thought about it today, and the Lord and I had a conversation. And He says, "Come on, get up. Come on with me, and let's go into the house of the Lord." He says, "For this is the day that I've made." And for those of you who know it, we're going to rejoice and be glad. So behold, look, is what is good and is perfect and is given. It's given to us by the Creator. So what are we here to tune up? Our concept, our thought process, our language of life. And what are we here to tune out? The different things that we have attributed to life that doesn't necessarily go with it. So what is life? We've often said the sacred text that says, "God, I live and move and have my being." When we say that, we live and move and have our being. And so if we're going to do it this way, then if we're living and moving and having our being, we have to have a foundation. That foundation then would have to be life. So life would then equate to God, which means that now God is life. So if life is God and God is life, and in that we live, we move, we have our being, then living is a condition by which we are doing something. We are living, and those that living is concepts and beliefs. And when we move, we're moving, we're taking action. And when we have our being in the characteristics of God. Now, these are just some things that came, and I'm believing on these things because I was reading in my book, The Art of Life, and it says, because God is life, life is God, then there's three things that we do. And the three things we do is when we realize the presence of God, God is with us. When we recognize the presence of God, we then do what? We act, we move, we act, we move. And then when we acknowledge God, we live in peace. So what life is not? We've just established that life is God. So this means that our language about life will have to change. This will come when we acknowledge that within us, Christ has given us all of the things we need to be a part of this life. He says, "I came to give you life and to give it to you more abundantly." So how can Christ come and give us life and life more abundantly? Well, Christ's teachings give us life more abundantly because Christ simply says that I and God are one, And so, because you and me are one, and I and God are one, then we are all one in God. And so now, since life is God and God is life, then you are one with God. Therefore, you are one with life. Now, living are conditions, living are beliefs and concepts that we've used along the way. But living is not life. Life is God. And God is peace, and God is love. And God has always said that God would be there, never leave you nor forsake you. God has always said, you are the apple of my eye. God always says that when you say that I am your refuge, I will then come and see about you. He says, before you even call me, I'm ready to come and get you. So the idea is that God being life, God is love. And life, then, for is love. So then the living conditions by which we have are simply our experiences. And so those experiences are the things that we go through, but they don't equal life. So when we say out loud to ourselves sometimes, life has thrown me a bad deal, that's not true. It's not true, in my opinion, for me. But life has not dealt you a bad deal when you see life as God and God as life, and then life equaling love. So this is what we're tuning up today. Our concept of life, our concept of love. So living, being, moving has everything to do with our task here. And those three things that we have to realize. When we realize God, when we realize God, when we recognize God, when we acknowledge God, something happens. When we acknowledge God, there's peace. We live in peace. We become peace because we said in God we live, move, and have our being. So if we're living in God, then our concept of life being God means that we're now living under the principles that Jesus gave us when he says, I come that you have life and you have it more abundantly. So live today with the concept that life is God. Move today, take action, and realize that in your actions you are now using the concepts and the principles Christ has given you to live more abundantly. And then acknowledge God. Acknowledge God. And acknowledging God means that the presence of God is always around you. Therefore, you can live in peace. You can live in love. You can live in life, and you can love God with your whole entire self. You can love God. He said, those are the only two commandments I have. These are the things Jesus left us. That you love the Lord your God with all your soul, heart, soul, and mind. And the second is likened unto it, that you love your neighbor as yourself. So today, beloved, live in love. Live in life, knowing that God is always present. And because God is always present, you're always present. Be present, live, love, life. Ashe, amen.